cedis 20 pesos for a dollar. 6 cedis 20 pesos for a dollar. Definitely, everything that involves movement from another country into your country will be inflated.
It affects everything.
It affects everything. So, one, the failure of government to arrest the dollar as they stated
and give the key to the
and
IGP.
give the key to the IGP, they have failed abysmal. And this is one of the premises that is really showing or exposing them that, look, government, you have failed. That is one. Now, don't forget that we produce petrol, we produce raw materials in this country. The exportation and the importation back of the refined product are all going to be in the caveat of this dollar rate. So both the exportation and the importation will be affected by the interest rate of the market. Then the next thing is taxation. If you take, just Google and see list of taxes 2021 Ghana, you see some form of taxes that are not relevant, but because the government wants to just siphon money from the system.
But in this regard, I mean, the rising cost of fuel, what will play a very significant role here has got to do with the taxes imposed by government on petroleum prices.
Sure. You cannot take the interest rate out. That one is something that, even look, let's be
By
very
putting taxes into perspective.
Yeah, let's put taxes into perspective. The government of the day has deliberately imposed taxes on petroleum product. You know what that means? It means that even your
How
transportation,
deliberately?
it is, if you look at the economic indicators that you look at to give taxes, they do not agree.
Who do not agree?
I mean the indicators.
Okay.
Now, those indicators do not agree with the high taxes cut that the government is imposing on these items. Why am I saying this? Do you want to tell me that since the imposition of these taxes, these petroleum industry players had never complained? There had been a lot of agitations. These are people who work in the system, and they had always and constantly called on the government that, look, these taxes that you are pushing on us, it will affect the entire nation. Tell me one activity you do in Ghana that do not involve transportation. And I will show you a car that uses water, not petrol.
Well, transportation will not mean just vehicle. Transportation could be by boat.
No, what I want you to get,
canoe.
what I want you to get is that, tell me one activity in Ghana when they are bringing your foodstuffs from, let me use my region, Oti region. It is not going to be by boat. Even by boat, they use outboard motor. There is diesel, there is petrol there.
That is when it is being exported from one region to the other. But
No,
for the activities within that particular region,
within that
region,
even if you are riding motorbike, you use petrol.
certainly.
Right. Even if you are going to use outboard motor to cross from the next village to the other one, you use petrol. So petrol has become one of the very important items that any government that fails to work around that particular thing to reduce the increasing price would affect every aspect of life. Now, this discussion we are having here, you and I are only speaking on intellectual grounds to people who may understand what it means as this petrol price has increased as this. But when you want to convert it to the practicality, it will go back to who? The Makola market woman.
Yeah.
The Malata market woman. You know why?
No.
She will go to the village, buy items. Those days when you are traveling, before 2016, from Pando to Accra, you pay not more than 20 cedis to 22 cedis. Now go and pick her. You have to pay close to 50 cedis. So if you are bringing a bag of gari that cost 5 cedis those days, you now pay close to 15 to 20 cedis for a bag of gari. which means that even you, a bowl of garri that you used to buy at 2 cedis, you now buy it as what, 7 to 8 cedis. What is causing that increment? The increment is caused as a result of what? The failed aspect of government to prevent the increasing of these prices on petroleum products.
It has a ripple effect.
Yeah, so when we sit here, we should be charitable to our market women, our farmers, our fishermen, because those are the people that are going to feel the impact well. You and I, we only drive or probably pick trotro and come to work, right? But those that are really consuming petrol are not the people you see on the streets of Accra. You get that? They are not the people you see on the street of Accra driving just around. No. They are the people in the villages. They are the trotro drivers. They are the taxi drivers. Those that are using petrol as an item that promotes their work. Those are the people that we should be looking at. Now, we can only plead with government, as now they have become people that want to represent their character as an elephant. You see, an elephant is one animal that when you don't hit it hard, it doesn't move because of the thick skin. And this government has become characterized with this demonstration over time before they react to issues and begin to act in a pretentious manner. So the fact is that Nana Akufo-Addo and the Balumia-led administration have failed Ghanaians abysmally. They have failed the citizens, and the promises they made to us, they are not fulfilling that. One interesting thing is that compare these two items. You look at Tema Oil Refinery. Tema Oil Refinery, I'm sure that you have read the story that is coming up now. You have read the story coming up from...
the statement has been released and we are all aware of that.
And when you look at the time Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, Akufo-Addo and Balumia took office, the office has been characterized with a lot of energy sector scandal and corruption. The institution that we can depend on a little bit, let's say if we were to be in church, you say we'll depend on them for revival. These are institutions that are characterized by what? Corruption. Look at the boss scandal, the contaminated fuel scandal, then come to the recent Tor scandal. The shocking part of it is that you have department that briefs management every month on accounts and details of whatever transpired in the organization.
But if that is anything to go by, then I think it should be generalized, because per the statement which was released, there were other scandals too which occurred between 2012 and 2015, which of course your party was in power.
My party was in power 2012 and the 2016 that they are talking about. What is the reason why Ghanaians voted for Akufo-Addo and Balumia-led administration?
So it should be generalized then.
No, you see, the problem. No, but the problem I have, with
your political party.
Yes.
I mean, during the Eswa Mohammed's administration too has some scandals which has been.
But we as a party, we have requested for the report on that scandal that they are talking about. Until now, they were not able to even organize a press conference to that effect.
Well, it happened just this week, so let's see.
Yeah, so we are waiting for them to bring that report. That is one. Two.
But a committee has been set to look into this. So why don't we wait for the interim committee to come out with its findings? Then we will know where to draw our conclusions.
But look at it from this angle. Whether the committee comes out or not, there has been a missing large quantity of products there. That is factual.
Yeah.
Two, probably the reason why Ghanaians voted NDC out is because of this scandal that you may talk about. So they trusted the MPP to come and do a good job, and that was the song that they sang, that they were coming to save Ghana, as though Ghana was what? In a limbo, or Ghana was dying. They voted for you, and you come to power to spend close to 5 years to compare your government to the government of Mahama. That is not the reason why Ghanaians voted for you. You are voted into power to fix the country. So I will crave their indulgence that, look, fix the country. They should be able to fix the country. That is the reason why we voted for them. Now, as we are speaking now, are you aware that TOR is going into losses? Before we left office, we had left not less than $2 million. They came to power within 2 or 3 years. Those monies cannot be accounted for, and now we are sinking financially. So as a state, you don't expect our citizens to come and clap for you that, look, you are failing, and because probably Mahama had done something that was not good, you want to now write on that and tell Ghanaians that Mahama has done this, as a result of that, you should not be lambasted or you should not be talked about.
No, but even though that was also captured in the statement, there were other ones to which were captured.
Sure.
Under this current administration.
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm
that
saying.
wouldn't be the reason. No, of course, it's very necessary.
That's what I'm saying. That you see MPP communicators everywhere trumpeting. I expect them, when they appear on shows, they should be able to give Ghanaians practical way of solving this issue.
Then help us.
You get it?
Yeah.
That is what I expect MPP to be doing, because that is the reason why we voted for them. Unless otherwise, we have the men. It's a fiasco.
But it doesn't matter. You could also bring
up
suggestions.
Definitely. We will bring recommendations, but these are people who are not even opening up for that. I can show you practical example of that. When they were introducing these free SHS, what did we advise? We told them, look, the total amount of money that will go into feeding is what will cause problem for the free SHS program. So what do you have to do? Continue building the community day schools that Mahama has started, so that a lot of students from that community can just enroll. So you walk to school and come back. Then the feeding can now reduce. Then the free SHS can now go on well. They refuse that. And they have left all the projects that we started in the armpit of the bush. So these are people who are not even ready to listen. Unless otherwise, maybe you want to organize them and advise them that, my brother, start listening. Then it will help all of us.
We cannot put that advice forward.
Sure.
But let's put the exchange rate aside. You know, a lot goes into this. We have a whole lot that goes into the increments of fuel prices. Let's take others also into consideration and have a bit on that.
Okay. Now, you see, there's something we call cost of production.
Certainly.
When it comes to these petroleum items. But those costs are not determined by our country. Right. The production is done outside. And they only ship the refined product to us. Yeah. So, when you go to something like political instability, we do not have one as we speak now. Or do we have any political instability? No. So the only thing here is that the demand is high. And because demand is high, the only thing that government can do now, the main item that everybody is speaking to, is the interest rate and the tax. Because mind you, even if you work on the production, everything that you do there comes with money and cost. Which means that tax and interest rate will also play a major role at that side. Demand and supply. Demand and supply, when there is higher demand and there is less supply, definitely the product will be expensive. So the cost will increase. Now, if cost is increasing, don't forget that the people shipping these items from the refined product itself to the shipping cost are all charged in the dollar equivalent. So the interest rate there again is another issue that you cannot run away from. Right. So you could see that No amount of suggestion we can put on the table without working on the interest rate. Arresting it, as Balumia has said, there is nothing that we can do. If you think I'm lying, you can tell me that no, you think I'm lying. Because there is nothing, even this suit you wear, if they are selling it 50 Ghana outside, $50 outside, you buy it, you ship. And you are shipping in what? Dollar equivalent. So before it gets to Ghana here, it will not be the same $50. It will definitely increase. So the interest rate is the main issue that is causing all this problem in the industry. And the second that follows is the taxation. These unnecessary taxes that they are just adding.
How do you describe it as unnecessary?
How do I describe it as unnecessary?
Unnecessary, yeah.
You see, it is not as though I am the only person that is speaking about this whole tax issue. Let me give you just one. Look at this COVID-19 tax. You know there is COVID-19 recovery tax that is added to almost everything.
Parliament before the end of the last parliament.
Sure. Yeah. And they had majority. And I'm sure that you heard our stand on that. That is when media comes out to say that minority can make the noise, but majority always have their way out.
And that is the case.
That is the case that we find ourselves in. These taxes that they are imposing, the VAT, the NHSI, and all those things, they are all coming back to every item. When was the last time you went to the mall to buy? Just try it one of these days, my brother. When you look at the taxes on a small item that you went to pick from the mall, you understand what I'm saying. Now, don't forget that the NDC in opposition do not have the political power to work out anything. You sitting here, you don't have any power. You can only talk. You can only complain. But the people who are holding the economic management affair of the state are always silent and quiet on this issue. There is no way we will be able to solve this issue. So we cannot take interest rate out of this petroleum price shooting and then taxes. These two things are very, very important. And that is the only work that government is expected to do. All other activities that we are supposed to do, they are not in the remit or in the confined zone or in the confined powerhouse of the government. They cannot work on it. If you look at the petroleum exporting organizations, then petroleum product consumers in the country, the one in the country is always looking at the international market. Don't forget that this statement that my brother spoke about on your screen is speaking to the international market, which means that before the local consumers will also look at their transportation services and all those things, we will be hitting 7 cedis by the close of this month. We'll be hitting 7 cedis.
And that is coming from COPEC.
Yes, you see. So it means that those other items that are supposed to be looked at are not in the power line of the government. But what can they do as a government? One, the tax. They have to look at it. Two, the interest rate. Balumia said he has arrested the interest rate and gave the key to the IGP. Now the former IGP that he gave the key to, we can't find her now. So we don't know whether she has run away with the key or the key is still in one of the places.
These projections which were made by the NPA was as a result of the price of petrol on the world market, because it has increased by about 9%.
9%, yes.
Yes, and that is of diesel, and as also diesel has also increased at about 10%. So petrol, diesel respectively. So these two holding everything constant will project that petrol will increase about 5% and diesel will also increase around the same figure, which the NPA says will take us to about 6 cedis 84 pesos. So this is something which has transpired at the world market, and we are having the ripple effect here.
You see, that is the world market. And that is what...
What then could we have done? Because these are increments from the world market.
Do you know that I wanted to read something to you? I wanted to read something to you so that you look at this for me. Excuse us, your viewers, so that I want to get a document for you.
But you know, time is not our
Yes,
friend.
you see, look at this. Since 2017, okay, Tema Oil Refinery has been mismanaged into a state of comatose, with its attendant appointment of 4 different chief executives. The only asset that Ghana has, that in all odds, imagine today we wake up and they said there is no sea, so ships cannot travel or ships cannot move. I'm a maritime person, so let me use the word. Ships cannot navigate to the shores of Ghana. The only way we can survive is toll. I get what I'm saying. That is the only way we can survive. But this toll that we are talking about now is also under what? Attack. And do you know what attack they are under? Corruption attack. The only asset that we have, that, you know, before we left office, we had started refining product. But why do you think that the MPP recommends that we should convert Tema Oil Refinery to tank farm?
You would have to share with me what
It is because the place has become dormant. It's because of inefficiencies and ineffectiveness of works of management there. When we were in power, we started utilizing the asset to refine petrol, diesel, bitumen, kerosene, and others can be seen or gotten from the Ghanaian side. We left that running item for them within 24 months. As I speak to you now, what is happening there? They are telling us that let us declare that place as tank farm. You know what that means? Do you know that even the oil that is missing do not belong to the state? Are you aware? The oil that is missing do not belong to the state. It is private companies that went to keep their product in our tanks.
It was indicated in the statement.
You get it? Then that should tell you that the tanks has become dormant and they are just empty around. So if we really want to tackle this as a nation, then it means that we need to go back to resuscitate the Tema Oil Refinery, so that at least we'll be able to get some refined product within the country that we can use that to be able to determine. Other than that, we will always run at the mercy of the international market and its dictates.
Right. These are projections.
Sure.
We have projections from the NPA. We have projections from COPEC. The executive director, Duncan Amwa. Let's see how things would pan out in the coming days. So, of course, the NPA says October 16. Well, we are hoping that God keeps us alive till that very day to witness if indeed these projections would be seen when we visit the field pump. Let's move on to other topics for discussion. On the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, we have Samuel Abujinapo, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, picture here, and the screaming headline says, "Mining train heads north. Government commits to stringent regulation." The government has committed to adopting a proactive approach to regulate the emerging mining sector in the northern part of the country. Now, the north has lately become very alive with mining activities, both small and large-scale operations, while illegal mining is also becoming a major challenge. In the Upper East region, Cardinal Resources, a mining firm, is currently undertaking preparatory works towards establishing one of the country's biggest mining operation in Talinsi, while L International Gold Limited has obtained the necessary permit to commence large-scale underground rock mining in the same region. Before we delve and talk about Operation Hot, which was introduced by the government, I think during this term of his, which is to help curb the activities of illegal mining, better known as Galamsey, across the country, which has destroyed our water bodies. I would want to find out from you. Well, per what I have just read, the North is not known for such of these activities, but lately become very alive with mining activities. What do you think may be accounting for this?
The North has always been part of this mining. It's only that
we are being told becoming very alive.
Yes.
So that would be the underlying word.
That is where we are coming from. So that is where we live. And we can say an authority that these things have been there. It is only that probably the media
never captured
yes,
that.
It has not been brought to the light of the media. That is, but I believe that if you are hungry, you look at where you get food. So if mining companies are hungry for their natural resources, they will continually do their researches and face where they can get those items. So in recent times, that is where they are taking it to. My only prayer is that it should not be carried close to the Volta Lake, which is one of the largest lakes that we have in the country. Because if Volta Lake should start to look like the way the tunnels and others are looking, we'll have problem. You know why?
Tell me.
Even you in Accra, you are using water from Kpong Water Works. That is Astuare Kpong. That is the water that we are using here. And the water they use, the process, is the Volta River water. That is what they process. Our electricity and other things are coming from that same place. So if this water is tempered with, my brother, we'll have serious issue in this country. Let me come to the issue of Operation Hot illegal mining.
Yes, which was carried out in the southern part of the country. Has there been any impact so far? Do you think government has done so well by introducing such initiative? And has the agenda for which the initiative was introduced been achieved?
I know clearly that the government of the day, led by the chief corruption clearing agent, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Since when did that become part of his title?
We know with him. I can give you list of ministers whose names were mentioned, and he cleared them.
That is not part of the discussion.
He cleared them, yes. So I gave him that title because he has become an achiever in the industry of clearing corruption officials. So that's why I'm giving him that title. This Operation Hot Mining that they introduced, it was a deliberate and a calculated attempt to steal public money.
Oh, how?
Good. That is why I'm here. That's why you are hosting me.
That is why I'm also here.
You see, the total amount of money that is hitting the country in terms of judgment debt as a result of this operation is more than half of our yearly budget. So the government and its apparatchiks knows definitely. And if you look at all the companies, all the people's excavators that are bent, you hear names that are coming from Flagstaff House. You hear names that are coming from the MPP. You get it? Now, all these people are at court. And at least, if you have not heard, I've heard like 2 or 3 judgment debt in that regard. So it is just a calculated attempt. This operation that they started, that we are going to halt illegal mining. What is illegal mining in itself? It's mining against the set rules and regulation for doing that particular business. The government of the day, its own members are owners of these mining sites. So when you ask me whether this has come to see the light of, we have not seen anything. Point one river that has become clean in Ghana since the claim that this agenda to stop illegal mining has been activated. Just point one river that has become clean.
There was one river which the minister on his tour of
the day minister of lands Abujinapo did the video the same day in the evening close to Fado about Yamin drove to that same place.
I saw Yamin's video, but I think that was in the same place.
My brother, let me tell you, where Abujinapo took his video, it is not where the mining activity was happening.
Video, but
what happened is that
same place
what happened is that you know Water Lake starts from Akosombo to Pando, then you go to Adoatv, then you go to Yeji before Yape. Now you are mining somewhere, let's say Pando, and the water moves this way to Akosombo side. So from Pando to Akosombo side will be what? Dusty. So you cannot stand at Adoatv, which is at the upper part of Pando, to take a picture and come and lie to Ghanaians that this is now River Tano and it is working. That's a big lie. If it is not a lie, we know MPP. Immediately Yamin had produced that evidence, they would have countered it with either press conference or another person would have gone there to take another video to prove that Yamin is lying. We know them very well. We know them. So the government of the day deliberately is just looking for ways and means to get money for his party guys. That is what we know the excellency of the day is good at. So this decision of stopping mining, my brother, it has failed. Not only failed, but has caused the state, has caused the country, and has caused our consolidated fund a lot of money to be paid out.
How then should we address this?
That the only way we can address this is to vote Akufo-Addo and the MPP out of power.
Since they are still in power, we to wait till the next 3 years before we address issues regarding illegal mining.
It took the voice of the NDC, both in parliament and on these communications that we do, to bring a stop to these things.
That's in the illegal mining, or
the operation Stop Mining. The way they were handling this whole issue, my brother, look. When you seize excavator, what is the best thing to do? Let us discuss this as citizens and youth. To me, I would advise that, okay, what you need to do is, why don't you sell these items to contractors? Why don't you give it to Ministry of Roads and Highways? Why don't you give it to Feeder Roads Department? Why don't you give it to ministries that are engaged in construction activities? Rather than just setting them ablaze. You set them ablaze, then we get what from it. It is just evil.
To deter others from engaging
it is
themselves.
Not to deter who?
Others who are also in the same act to
going into the illegal mining.
No, to deter them from doing it. I mean, whilst you've seen that a colleague of yours whose excavator,
no, but when you burn excavator, do you get the excavator back?
From
no.
Engaging yourself into such acts.
Yes, but when you confiscate marijuana, do they go back to the police people to take it? No. So the same law that binds you when something is confiscated by government, you don't have the right to go there and come for it again, unless otherwise you are suggesting to me that you know the MPP that even if they seize that item, they will still pass back door and give it to the people. That is the fear. I'm telling you, that is the fear. You get it? That is a fear with the government. So burning excavators, in fact, sometimes when I sit down and I look at that, it is not easy. We were all in this country when MPP communicators made noise as though they said we NDC, we bought guinea fowl. Guinea fowl that has wings, they can fly. That one, they do not agree that they are going to fly. But when it comes to excavator that is bigger, that even 500 men cannot carry it, 500 of it disappeared. And that case too, we are going to pay judgment debt to it. The ones you bend to, we are going to pay judgment debt to it. So are you doing good to the state? Any MPP communicator that you may tell him to point one benefit that the operation hot mining or illegal mining, it should give you one benefit or one achievement.
And the achievement is what Abu Junapo has indicated to us.
And I'm telling you that is not an achievement. Now, let me tell you this. All these excavators that they bent, assuming that we are going to pay judgment there for all of them, are you aware that even now, Akufo-Addo-led administration, he borrows money to pay salaries? That is what he's doing now. So if we are going to pay judgment debt, where are we getting the money from? That is why currently everybody standing here as a Ghanaian, you owe 11,340 Ghana cedis. Every Ghanaian, you owe that under the Akufo-Addo. When we were in power, we borrowed 120 billion. That was what we borrowed. You came to power. Don't forget that this 120 billion NDC borrowed, we can point University of Ghana Hospital, Noguchi Memorial Hospital. We can point Rich Hospital, the Bank Hospital, the E-Blocks, Terminal 3, whole brand new airport, Tamale Airport. You can point a lot of things that is done out of that 120 billion that we borrowed, plus paying of salaries and other items, artilleries of government. Akufo-Addo came to power. We borrowed that money in 8 years. He came to power only 5 years. He borrowed 216 billion. Imagine before he leaves office in the 8 years. And this 216 billion that he borrowed, tell me point one thing that he has done than to use 50 V8, including his chair in one and a security man, to OT region to go and commission something like a transformer, lorry park.
Well,
that I can do personally. That is what he went to commission.
That we would say has also helped probably in curtailing the spread of COVID-19. During your tenure, which you've indicated, well, telling the figure you borrowed, comparing, just opposing that to that of the current administration. During your tenure, there was nothing like COVID, but during the current administration, the entire world is battling with a pandemic.
Is Ghana the only country that is going through the COVID? Are you aware US population is more than us? But even the total amount of money, they are even producing medicine. The total amount of money they even put into this whole thing is lesser than we those that are going to borrow from them. And you are telling us that this is sensible.
To compare our economy to that of the USA in issues like this. I'm asking you.
You said you do what?
Are we to compare our economy to that of the USA in issues like this?
Now let me tell you. What I'm telling you is that their economy is bigger than our economy.
So,
but they are using lesser. They are using lesser. Look, you live
pumping over trillions in their
look. Let me tell you,
economy.
Don't forget that when they are pumping this money, they are pumping it into manufacturing. They are pumping it into production, which is creating a lot of employment. But all monies that we borrowed is used to pay salaries, consumption. That is the problem that we are discussing here.
But what we do know too is that some pharmaceutical companies are being supported, some industries are being supported, especially in times of COVID-19 like this, in the manufacturing of drugs and other stuffs like the nose masks, the PPEs and the likes. Is that also not anything to go by?
You see, let me tell you.
Tell me.
The total amount of money that this government puts into this business is far less than the one that goes into their pockets. Unless you want us to pretend that we don't know that these things exist.
So it exists, it happens every time, not just this current administration.
I am telling you that unless you want us to pretend that it does not exist under the watch of Nana Akufo-Addo.
But that wasn't what you earlier stated.
No, I said unless you pretend that it does not exist. You get it? And who am I talking about and who am I discussing? I'm discussing the issue of the government of the day. You get it? So at the end of the day, the government of the day practically, before they leave office, my brother, the money that they will borrow, I'm sure that each Ghanaian should be prepared to pay not less than 20 to 30,000 Ghana cedis. That is what every Ghanaian, including the infants, will pay.
Is that to say, should COVID-19 exist, persist till, well, I cannot tell, but after 2024 and NDC is to take over after the general election, and COVID-19 is still in existence, you aren't going to borrow?
You see, one thing you should not forget is that even the US, they stretch their hand. Even the UK.
Borrow here means borrow as in what we are witnessing currently.
It will not be like that if NDC should come to power. The recklessness in borrowing is too abysmal. It's too bad. You and I were in this country.
Mind you, it may not be severe at that time.
No, you cannot predict that.
That is what I'm saying.
Yes, it might even be more.
We do not know. So
yes, it might even be more. But what I'm telling you, and what I know, is that look at when MPP told us that they fed some group of persons during the COVID. Did you read the report and did you see the amount of money that they used to feed these people? That is what we are looking at. That is what we are looking at. You cannot go and be borrowing money because COVID exists. You borrow the money for COVID, but the money is not used for COVID.
What then is it used for? If
now let me tell you.
Let me tell you. Quote unquote underprivileged people who cannot fend for themselves, and government is to borrow.
We are not saying don't feed people.
But that is also
there were people that they fed around. That
is also part of
there
the
were
measures.
People that they
that
fed.
is also part of the measures put in place, implemented.
And I'm telling you that there are people that they fed around Termine. That is Oyarifa area. I was there. I saw the food. What they put in that pack.
It is better than now.
You are not getting me.
Or
if you borrow 100 billion, you wait.
You saw isn't the value of money which was.
It can never and will never be. You borrow 100 billion just for economic recovery because of COVID. Now you want to recover the economy. That money is used to pay salary to recover economy. That money is put into pockets to recover economy. You know something? So, it is not the COVID that is shaking the government to borrow. The sinking fund that we left for them. That was the reason why those funds were left. So that in times of dangers, you'll be able to dip your hand into that and use to sort that out. So the predecessor, Mahama, anticipated that we can be moving and the ship might hit an iceberg. And we need people to work on the ship. Those people's money has to be prepared. That is the reason for that. You consume all those things. Then you left and jump onto the international market to go and borrow money again. We are not saying that don't borrow, but borrow sensibly.
McLean Ajukache, thanks so much for coming. This is where we would have to end the conversation. I don't know if you would have a word or two to end your submission.
Sure. So at the end of the day, we are pleading with government that it should end the reckless borrowing, the extravagant lifestyle, and then we are advising Balumia, who is the chairman of the economic management team, that because of his failure, that is why these petroleum prices are just going up like that. So he should wake up. He's sleeping on the job. The 77 plus questions he asked our former vice president, those questions are on his table and answered. If he's able to produce answers to those questions, all these economic hardships will end. So we are calling on him that he should wake up from his slumber. Then my last item is that the president, he should advise his friends and lawyers, Akutuampa and their friends, that look, the LGBTQ, now they've even added plus. we Ghanaians, we say we don't want.
Are you surprised with the names? I mean, the individuals pushing the agenda against the anti-LGBTQ bill?
Initially, I was surprised. But when I took my time to read about each of them, where they attended school, the organizations they belong to, I am no more surprised.
Why?
Because in one way or the other, in the journey of their life, they have gone through systems that might probably be causing that mental change towards this particular issue.
In the conversation, McLean Adoatv. Wow, thanks so much for coming. He's a rep from the National Democratic Congress. That is where we'd have to end the conversation. There was no MPP rep here, and mind you, it's not a deliberate attempt. So they never had their rep joining us here for the conversation. I used to go to Political Babyface is my name. And that will be it for me for now. But AM Ghana Breakfast Show still continues. And Sonotech will be joining Lady Julia shortly after this break to tell you more on breast cancer. Because we are in the month of breast cancer awareness. It's Pinktober. I used to go to it's my name. We'll be right back. Please stick and stay with us.
Hello everyone, my name is Adoatv, a proud ambassador for Sonotech's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's hashtag Pinktober, hashtag Sonotech Goes Pink. Now from the 1st October to the 31st October 2021, at any of the 3 branches of Sonotech, Tema, Osu and West Hills Malls, we are gathering together to get free screening. Yes, I said it's free. And that's not all we have for you. We also have 20% off mammogram testing and 50% off ultrasound. Let's go pink from October the 1st to the 31st, 2021 at Osu, Tema, and West Hills Mall, all Sonotech branches. We are giving hope to save a life. See you there.
Yeah, CB makeup now. I'm correct. Why your best mankasa? That's it. Who anymore? Oh, middle. You captures back on CB makeup sauce. You see, CB makeup sauce and make a year.
Yeah, you see men and women's capsules now. You name the dada. And 1 year packaging I end of
wow! What a packaging! CB men, any CB women capsules, no packaging is out. And you also no mood any bianza no akodo mpegi
share apemfo any about town man kwada no fo any kwada won di fie du enka ho
Susanna Ghana man man tamase
Dodo Afre 0247 111671 and 0246 578 750 FDA aje edwede nkato yato
Yeni Masatek, so your kunini roofing industry nim enti Saudi roofina na wadwen Asatek. Asatek wo quality long span roofing sheeter esan nail free. Trese ehia so de dadwabo mu nanso etim wodan no so a pampe amframa and ehum entumi nya no hwe. Asatek quality long span roofing sheets with beautiful bright colors with anti-fading and anti-rusting properties. Trese enwe na ache na empanso enti wo ma 30-year warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Asatek quality long span roofing sheet dear. Eyama debia, say a warehouse, school, hotel, hospital, sorry, ana say a wawufi. Use Asatek quality nail free long span roofing sheet no be. Now what dando be jinaso na yino ho. Oye delivery services papa bia. Enfa honde for kwa Asatek bema was can order between 3 and 5 working days. Our VIP delivery services so one day pay na osaka. Hwehwe Asatek achiu kwan Watama 22 Meridian Road woni Cocoa Board Warehouse na ben Takrade Efiekuma number 9 wo ben Efiekuma Fidelity Bank no Volta region so wo wakache Tatome GN Bank and Chen Hope. Asatek, sheltering you for life.
welcome back, Ghanaians, and all others that are watching us. It's still Adoatv, and it's still the AM Ghana show. I hope you are ready for this segment because I know I whet your appetite a bit in the beginning, but we are in the Pinktober month. That's the month of October, Breast Awareness Month, and we are here to do more highlights to bring you not just the awareness, but I want to go a little deeper into breast cancer and issues surrounding breast cancer. To be specific, we want to look at early detection. We'll go low on the treatment for today, but then we'll also look at issues to do with stigmatization where breast cancer is concerned. And I cannot do this no matter the research I've done into this. My mouth is too small, my education too limited to do this by myself. I have some elegant people here in the studio this morning, and I just want to introduce them to you quickly. Partner of Sonotech and a doctor into this issue we're talking about. We're talking about Dr. Fenu. Do I have the name correct?
Yes.
Fenu or Fenu?
Okay. You've done well. It's Fenu.
Fenu. Okay. So Dr. Benjamin Fenu, on my extreme right, and you want to see this woman when it comes to breast cancer awareness in Ghana. We have no other person than the elegant Mrs. Juliet Mills Lutrot. Good morning, madam.
Good morning. Thank you for having both of us. What a wonderful topic to talk about.
I thought my pink was loud, but
I know.
I can't do louder than the one who is warrior and commander over Pinktober. So I'm very, very fortunate to have the two of you in our premises and to be hosting this interview. Thank you very much for answering to our call. Well, because of our time, we'll just jump right on. And my first question, in early treatment, comes to you, doctor. Okay. So we want to talk about how necessary early treatment is. How necessary is early treatment? I mean, early diagnosis.
So, early diagnosis, yes, leads to early treatment.
Okay.
And the treatment is found to be more effective if the disease is caught early. It saves money as well, because yes, the treatment is maybe quite expensive to a lot of the population or the patients we see. And if you could catch this early, for instance, I would have to spend less money in trying to investigate the disease.
Okay.
You might have to visit the hospital less often. The treatment, I may give you, should I say, treatment that would work, and so you didn't have to visit the hospital several times because you've developed some complications and all that. In terms of the debilitating effect of the illness is less. And then also, definitely, we are talking about the breast, which is, should I say, quote unquote, the glory of a woman.
Yeah.
Yes, so I would most likely be able to save the breast if one came early, compared to if the lady came or the man came late. So basically, this is what we are looking at.
Okay. So we save money and we save time, frequent visitations also to the hospital, and treatment as well.
Yes.
I mean, we are able to diagnose early, we are able to treat early, and then you talked about measures for treatment.
So, well, when it comes to cancer, especially the let's say breast cancer, surgery is very important to us if we have to, or if there's a chance of cure.
All right.
Yes. So the other treatments that we add are to improve your chances of survival, to reduce the chances that the disease would return or recur.
Okay. So reduce the chances that you have continuous, as in even if I'm saved now, maybe in about some few months, you wouldn't come to tell me that it has redeveloped or divided. I remember that word very well.
Exactly. There is always a risk when it comes to cancers. There is always a risk that when you have treated it, it may grow back.
Okay.
Or yes. So in our term we say recurrence.
All right.
What we want to prevent is the recurrence. So the chemotherapy that is given is to help deal with those cancer cells that may have escaped into the bloodstream, gone elsewhere, that you cannot use any other investigations to detect it. We don't have the means of detecting other cancer cells somewhere, which are so small. They are so small you can't detect them. Okay. And so the chemotherapy is given to deal with those ones. And then when it comes to radiotherapy, that is to, you are put under a machine, or like a CT scan machine, that will bombard the area where you've had surgery, would bombard the area with some radioactive or some radiation. And when it does that, if I've performed any surgery and some small cells have escaped or left there, it helps to deal with these ones. The other forms of treatment, there's the hormonal treatment, where because of our knowledge, which has increased or improved over the years, shows that for some people, their cancers can respond to hormonal treatment. Okay. And there's what we call immunotherapy as well. So depending on what the tests that we may have sent to the pathologist comes back with, we are able to tell what treatment regimen, or in the long term what you are going to have.
All right. Okay. That's from Dr. Fenu. Again, so if we're talking about early detection of this cancer, breast cancer, are there some early signs that also tell us, or somebody can see these signs on their body and then say that, okay, I think it's time I go to the hospital. I think that this thing I'm feeling is leading to breast cancer, or is a sign of breast cancer. So are there some signs that we should look out for as women? Yeah.
Okay, so when you examine your breast, if you do this regularly, one of the things we've been preaching is self breast exam monthly. Yeah, so if one has been doing that monthly, you get to know what your size, the size of your breasts are. For some, it's usual for one side to be slightly bigger than the other. And this is something you've lived with. You know it's normal. You also know how the nipple is, and then the black area around the nipple is. So in examining yourself in front of a mirror, most people will come with lumps. That's the commonest presentation. Doctor, I feel a lump in my breast. And that is what brings the people. We commonly will also tell people that when it comes to cancers, especially breast cancer, most of the time the lump that appears or that you feel, it's not painful. Unfortunately, people only come to the hospital when they are in pain.
Meaning that it has already progressed.
Usually when you start feeling pain with breast cancer, then it means that it's the latter stages that the pains do come in. But usually when it starts, the very early stages, it's a painless lump. Yes. So unfortunately, people don't pay attention to it because it's not worrying to them.
I can understand that.
Now, the other thing is when you find dimpling in the skin of the breast. The cancer cells, the cancer itself has a way of drawing the skin inward. So that creates a dimple. And that's also a warning sign. For some, they may have noticed some dots, like what you find the peel of an orange.
Okay.
In our term, we say peau d'orange.
Okay.
Yes.
Those black dots.
You find some dots around the skin.
Oh, okay.
And that points to cancer.
It's not necessarily colored, just some. It's like some small holes.
Yes, some. So that's like when you squeeze the peel of an orange. Those dots you find, you may find that on the skin. For some people, you find that one breast is unusually bigger than the other, and it may be what we call asymmetrical. Should I say it's distorted? Okay. So you find one breast distorted, the nipple will be pointing elsewhere. Okay. And bloody nipple discharge. You have a nipple discharge and it's bloody. These are signs that we have cancer. Sorry to cut you. When you also check or examine or feel your armpit, you may notice that there may also be a lump. And I must admit that in some very few people, you may not find anything in the breast. And yet,
the presence
may have had cancer. Okay. And for some, in certain states, like pregnancy, they may not have detected that there was something going on. Because what may have been seen may have been perceived to be, oh, this is a normal lactating breast. It all feels lumpy. And it may have been cancer.
Okay, then let me throw this question at Mrs. Juliet. Mrs. Juliet,
yes.
What were did you have any of these early signs, or if different?
Not at all. Doc has been very informative, and no, for me, I was 40 and I went in for my usual mammogram. When you turn 40, you go in, you check, and it's part of your routine for your physical. Luckily, I got called back, and when I went back in, I needed an ultrasound because there were areas that were not clear. I had some dense tissue. So I went in for the ultrasound, and then that proceeded to an MRI. And it was the MRI that found the lump. And so then they had to biopsy to make sure that that lump was clear, and it was not. So Doc is very right. There was nothing wrong with me. There was no discoloration of my breast. There was no signs at all. So I think that it can be very deceiving, and that is why the importance of self-examination once a month. If you're getting your period as a woman, a week after your period, you go to check, and your fingers have a memory. So the more you check, the more your fingers are familiar with your tissue and can detect if there's anything abnormal. And just have a doctor check it. It's very simple.
Okay. Now, last week we did a little discussion here on the same things, majorly on the causes and the treatment. Today, I want to ask this, even though it's related to causes, but because of what we were just talking about, early signs, early detection, antiperspirants. We've had myths. I don't know if how far true they are, but I've heard that some people say antiperspirants can cause breast cancer. So if somebody has been using antiperspirants for a while, is that a reason for them to perhaps go and do a free breast screening?
When it comes to the myths, there are several. There's several of them.
You have to have a special day to treat me.
Perhaps this is the first time hearing of antiperspirants. Yes. In our knowledge and practice, as it is now, I haven't come across antiperspirants to be a cause. In fact, when it comes to cancers, breast cancer especially, we haven't found a particular cause. All we can talk about are risk factors. What's about you, as in your makeup, your body, your genetic makeup, your day-to-day activities, perhaps your lifestyle. That increases the chance that you would have breast cancer if I compare to one other person. In fact, in more than 50% of people, you can't even identify a risk factor, a risk factor to it. So, well, if time would allow, the risk factors, definitely. The first is the presence of the breast. If you have no breast, you don't have breast cancer.
Spoken like a doctor.
Because I'm wondering who at all does not have breast. Even men have breast.
Oh, yes. And men do get breast cancer too.
Yes, men do get breast cancer. So the second most important risk factor is the female sex. Yeah, so less than 1% of men do get breast cancer. Now the third thing is age.
Yes.
So we found out that 40 to 49% of women are at risk of having breast cancer. As in breast cancer, sorry, okay, women. And it's a figure, it's statistics. But we've seen people as young as 14, 16, people in their 20s. We've had several who have developed breast cancer. So it may have been thought that, oh, this is benign, this is not cancerous, and then for some reason it may have been neglected, and then it becomes bigger, deforms the breast, develops the obvious signs of breast cancer. For some, they may have gone for the lump to be removed, and when they sent it for the pathologist, that's to the lab to be assessed, it was found to be cancerous. There are what we call hereditary factors too. So for some people, especially when they have first degree relatives, mother, yes, siblings, sometimes even an auntie or a grandmother, a maternal grandmother may have developed breast cancer in the past, and if someone has developed cancer of the breast on one side, there is that chance that may develop breast cancer on the opposite side.
Okay. So, Madam Juliet, I know that even with the issue we have now, COVID, when someone gets COVID, we have some usual sickness or illnesses, the fever and all that. When you look back before or after your diagnosis, can you track any illness that was associated? Can you say that, okay, when I look back at it, I think that maybe the frequent headaches I was having is the reason. I mean, the breast cancer was the reason, or was there any symptoms like that?
For me, no. I was busy at work. My hands was in multiple things. And I know for sure I wasn't taking better care of myself. Oftentimes women, when you are pulled to so many directions, as a mother, as a business owner, as a mentor, as an educator, you're literally pulled and you neglect yourself. So it's one of the things I talk about through Pink for Africa, that women need to take better care of themselves all around, because when you are healthy, if anything happens to you, your chances of survival is a little bit more than if you're not. So eating healthy, exercising, making sure that you're putting the right things in your body. If you're going to wear Gucci, eat Gucci. Eat the best is what I mean. So don't let the outside look good and the inside not look good. Exactly.
Okay.
So, but no, that was pretty much it. Just overload.
Doc, have you had people with such experiences? Perhaps because of the cancer, they feel ill often. Maybe they have, certain weaknesses here, and that they could not do the things they formerly could do. And so because of that, they came to the hospital. And then in checking these signs, we realized that breast cancer is the culprit.
Yes, so there are certain signs that should spread. When someone comes unwell, and maybe that unwellness is caused by breast cancer, then we think that most likely it has spread. That's why it's showing. But most patients or most clients, when they present, especially in the early phase or early stages, may not have any symptoms of unwellness. They are just well, but they have this issue with the breast they want to be attended to. But I must say that for some people, especially when it comes to bone pain and fractures and all that, they may have had a challenge that may have been perceived to be a neurosurgical condition or an orthopedic condition. They may have probably fallen, or had some trivial trauma. If I say it's trivial, it means that you are not expected to, for instance, break your bone if you just fell from this short distance. And then we notice that the bone is broken. Let's go and assess. When we look at these features, this bone doesn't look healthy. It looks like it has some cancer cells in there. So let's go investigate. What may be the cause? For some people, we go to identify that the breast.
Wow.
Yes. So interestingly, and then also back pain. Pain along the spine. A lot of people have back pain. May have thought that this is something coming from maybe your weight, positioning and all that. For some, they may have started developing paralysis or weakness in their legs, and then the neurosurgeon attends to them. It's investigated, and the features point to cancer from somewhere, and you need to investigate. So you may look at the obvious areas. For a man, you may go and look for his prostate, but the woman, there is something that's more accessible that you may have to. So you start asking questions to assess, and then you may have to go and feel or investigate, and then you find out that this lady probably had cancer. The other signs of spread, though, but we didn't go into it now.
Wow, that was very, very formative there. For someone to go to the hospital thinking this is the this is why I'm taking I'm going to the hospital, and then you go and find out it's nowhere related to your leg. It's breast
But
cancer.
sometimes that can be a blessing too. That may have been what prompted them to treat it. Yes.
No, not sometimes. It is a blessing. Anyway, Madam, I'll come to you. What's the one thing you wish you knew, okay, before you started the whole breast cancer treatment? That is after diagnosis and you started the treatment. What's the one thing you wish you knew?
I think that most people will read about what's to come, especially I was diagnosed in the US and treated in the US. So there's so much information that you can access.
Okay.
And no matter how much information you access, you really don't know how your body is going to respond.
Yeah.
So you really take it one day at a time, and you know that this too shall pass. I remember repeating that to myself so many times going through chemo. This too shall pass. No condition is permanent.
So positive energy.
Absolutely. It's the only way.
Okay. What's your biggest self-discovery or revelation after you were diagnosed?
Well, I think that as a breast cancer survivor myself, I think that looking back in the last 12 years, I'm 12 years in remission. I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I say that because I've been able to use my platform to then educate other women and to bring attention and to also realize the importance of everyday life and cherishing what is great in your life and enjoying moments and creating more memories with people. So it really opened me up to see beyond myself and to be able to reach and give more of myself to others and let women know that you can only enjoy your closet with all the beautiful things in it if you take better care of yourself.
Exactly.
And check your breast.
And I think with that, I should have introduced her as a breast cancer survivor so that you understand the points she's trying to raise. So forgive me for that, but I wanted to surprise my viewers with the foundation. But let me come back to that. So she is a breast cancer survivor. So she's telling you that it was the biggest opportunity. And that is it, looking for the best out of any circumstance. The best does not necessarily come from the best of circumstances, but using what you have, using whatever life serves you with. And as you heard her, it was an opportunity. And I think it was on that basis that the foundation was formed.
Yes. So I'm a Ghanaian who lives in the United States. I come home quite often. And when I was going through my journey, I started to research women in Ghana, what the statistics was like, what information is out there. And I felt I have a voice. My brother is Majid Michael. Let me find a way to use his platform to be able to reach women and to say, let's talk about our breast and what are some of the things we can educate each other on, especially. And I realized early detection and awareness from age 12 all the way up is important. So we started 10 years ago, and it's been an amazing journey. We've managed to help financially with women in Kolebu, distribute prosthetics to women who otherwise will not have. It's an image thing. I went through it 12 years ago. 2 years ago, I had to go back to have my implants removed and replaced. And only to wait 9 months after for them to call me back to say, oh, there's a recall on the breast we put in. You have to come back into surgery. So it's a continuous journey for a woman. It doesn't end with just your treatment and you're over. You're constantly adjusting how you look. You want to be sure that it fits and people don't see you and immediately know that you've had breast cancer. So bringing prosthetics in for women to feel good is really, because our country has no, reconstructive, because it's so expensive. Cancer is such an expensive journey. That early detection, like Doc said, it
doesn't select its victims either.
No, it doesn't.
But it takes us. It takes whoever gets affected to change your status from a victim to a survivor. So let's do that. But my other question for you is, what was the most difficult part of this journey from 12 years ago? What has been the most difficult part?
I think for me, and I think for everybody is different, but for me, I think breaking the news to my 3 sons and watching how it affected everybody differently, in my home was interesting to watch. And you realize it's about you, but it's also about the people who love you. And they also worry. And so you need to see again outside of yourself and understand when one of the people who love you is going through a difficult time, to really understand. And to me, that was the most difficult part. My husband broke down 3 years later. He supported me and was very good. And then 3 years later, I was still going through, because I was taking different medication that was putting my body through menopause. And I'd gained a lot of weight. I was almost 300 pounds. And there's a lot of physical things that happen that everybody walks away differently. So it really hits not just the woman, but the entire family, everybody around you. Yeah.
So still talking about early detection, what would be your advice to Ghanaian women, ladies watching you right now, especially with regard to early detection? Sorry.
Please do not hide your journey. Share it with your family. Your family needs to know, because whatever age you're diagnosed, and Doc, I'm sure will agree, 10 years prior to that age, women who are close to you or family members need to start checking their breast. So making it a secret and not telling, we don't have family history. We need family history so that you can continue to save your nieces, your daughters, and everybody. So it's very important that we don't make it a secret. We share within the family and let each other know what is going on, so that we can have a link to how properly we need to check.
Okay, that's very good. Doctor, I want us to move away from the early detection and treatment and come to the issue that is plaguing Ghana when it comes to breast cancer: stigmatization. The reason why people fail to come out, the reason why ladies are scared to even go for the breast screening, even if it is free. They have heard of it, but are scared, even if their house is just next door, scared of going out. So what is the reason? What are some of the reasons that you think you can highlight why ladies are scared? And then we'll see how we can help with those issues.
I think, first of all, to be diagnosed with cancer is not an easy thing, as Madam Juliet said. So it changes, it's a life-changing, should I say, information or news, or I must say it's a very difficult thing to know that you develop breast cancer. The moment the news is broken, I think what is perceived is I'm going to die, or someone has, some of the cultural myths, someone has cursed me, someone has done this or that. We've had 1 or 2 patients may have gone elsewhere and said, I had this lump. I think someone did me. So I have gone for treatment from the herbalist or the spiritualist. There's a sore there. That's the only reason why I'm here for the treatment to be treated, and that's the cancer has been dealt with. So you just deal with the sore.
With the sore. Okay.
So culturally, so people think that being diagnosed with cancer is
a death sentence.
It's a death sentence, or the root cause is some curse or curses, or from anywhere, either from family or from someone they may have had some conflicts with. I also, in my little experience, I think all people think about is, hey, I'm going to lose this breast, or this is what is going to happen. They have their own beliefs. They may have heard person A in their community had breast cancer, was treated, and then died. Not from, interestingly, they wouldn't say that the person died from the disease, but they rather died from the treatment. Yes, I must say that yes, on few occasions the treatment comes with challenges, but we always communicate what you should expect, and what may be going through, and I'll say things have improved. So we have a lot of supportive care. We wouldn't diagnose you with breast cancer and just let you go. No, when you step out of the consulting room, I know I may have said 1,000 words, a lot of things that at the time you wouldn't be
hearing at all.
You actually don't hear it at all.
Exactly.
I don't think I will.
The news hits you. So we have a clinical psychologist in the clinic.
She's very good.
Yeah.
The clinical psychologist is very good.
Yeah. We have breast care nurses who will talk to you. Before we start on chemotherapy, we have chemo nurses who would also talk to you. I may explain a few things to you about the side effects of chemotherapy. But when you get there, they will get to the details, because they know that the first time was a difficult one. We have forgotten some of the things that were said. Now it's time to receive the chemotherapy. Let's go back. Let's re-emphasize what we said. Let's tell you what you are going to experience. So there, and well, the part of it about losing the breast, I think a lot of it too has to do with their spouses or partners. So they think more about what
the body image.
Yes, so the body image, what their husbands would say. For a very young lady, losing their breast when she's not married, she's not even had or got a boyfriend, and we are talking about her losing a part of her that is very important to the male sex. So I must say, when it comes to the treatment, just as Madam Julius said, we need people around the women who are diagnosed with breast cancer to be very supportive. We've had people come to us just to refuse treatment or turn down treatment or run away.
I was just about to, I had that question in mind. Have you encountered people who you have diagnosed and then they are like, okay, and everything with it, and then they go and you never see them again?
Oh, sure. that is no news. We've come across a lot of them. Some I still remember. They say, hey, this lady hasn't come. That woman I had that extensive discussion with hasn't come. This person hasn't turned up. And yet, sometimes you may call. We do get contact numbers and all that. We call and they wouldn't turn up. For some, they've been scheduled for treatment, say surgery, and you call and they give you a lot of excuses. You realize that where the excuses go, it's really, I don't have money, I don't have it. Okay, come, we can support you. We can take you through the process where we've assessed and genuinely identified that you can't really afford. And yet, they will still go on and give you excuses. Then you know this lady is dodging. It's just dodging, yes. So I think that the male counterparts or the men have a huge role to play.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very, very important.
That's a very important role.
Supportive care.
Extremely important.
We've had instances where the husband was no more talking to the wife because he's opted to go for the full treatment. And it's very unfair. Quite a number of times, some people will say, hey, if you die of this cancer, he'll go for another woman. Or you are the one suffering.
Yeah.
It will get to a point where this breast that you are trying to save, which is killing you, may become so disfigured, for want of a better word, unsightly.
And it's a painful death.
Exactly, it's a slow, painful one. Slow, painful. It's not like you've been knocked by a car, or you've got maybe a heart disease that has just tipped you over and you are dying, or you've had a stroke, which can
very, very
be massive and just kill you. No, it's a slow, painful death.
And a pain grows.
Exactly. And by the time you realize that this is a very serious matter, which you need to, if you've been postponing treatment or seeking medical attention, by the time you come, maybe too late to do anything. So we've had people who had small lumps, we detected it was cancer. So then let's do A, B, and C for you. And they didn't do that. Then they come after 6 months, 8 months, 1 year. Some people, excuse me to say, they've had very friendly cancers enough to make them go 5 years, even up to 10 years without it causing major problems or killing them. And they've turned up then asked that this woman would have, had the best chance of cure.
Yes.
Had the best chance of cure, and she's blown it.
And would have lived a full life.
Exactly. Now she's coming and say, doctor, take everything out or take everything away, the breast. And by then it's too late.
Well, you did raise a point about support systems for ladies who don't even have money, and on that reminds me of Madam Juliet's foundation. Madam Juliet, do you want to tell us a little about your foundation?
Yes. Pink for Africa is an organization we started, a non-profit. We started 10 years ago, and initially it was to be for education, and we thought we were going to come and educate, and we started hearing so many women coming and saying, you know what, I've been diagnosed, I'm trying to pay, but I cannot cover it all. So we decided to, try to bring in, develop a system that would allow us to generate money to also come in along with along with education, create a financial platform for women who we can help. So in the last 10 years, we've been able to work very closely with some of the doctors and the chemo nurses who coordinate. We've had a chance to meet the psychologist you were talking about to really pull women together who really need assistance and help, and to be able to do so. So between Kolebu and Okomfa Noche, we've been able to develop a really wonderful relationship. And now we've worked from coming only in October to being able to do every 3 months and coming in and helping. So again, Dark is saying there are avenues. I'm sure I'm not the only foundation that does this. I'm hoping that there are other foundations who, when they go to educate, along with educating, take the need beyond that as well, and see how we can generate money to support our doctors and the hospitals. Because the government does subsidize, but the subsidiary is not enough to cover, cancer is a very expensive disease, and the drugs are very expensive. So it is, the least we can do as a small organization coming in. Yes.
Okay. So you did hear from Mrs. Juliet Mills, Lutrot, and you heard from Dr. Benjamin Fenu.
Yes.
My accent, so don't mind me. Fenu. Okay, so you did hear from them, and trying to break the stigma. We know that you have a body image to protect. We know about our cultural issues where we don't even, it's like a taboo to raise the issue of breast cancer, because you will be seen maybe as an incomplete woman. That's what
yes.
some say, yes, especially for a young lady. And I was reading a little report that was done. I've forgotten the school that did that, but they talked about the age a shift in the age from the 40s. We usually look at women from 40s upward going to do the screening and all that, but now it's shifted to 30. It's shifted to 30. So in other words,
in fact, it's shifted to 20 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So 20 years onwards, we advise the ladies to examine their breasts, monthly. So you choose a day in a month, usually 3 to 5 days after had your menses. That's where we, in our assessment, the hormonal changes in the breast may have subsided. Then you can feel any lesions better. So it's age 20 years onwards. Then every perhaps 1 or 2 years, you can have, I think yearly, you can have your breast examined by a healthcare worker. Let me say a trained healthcare worker. And then for those who are 40 years and above, we say that if you are not the high risk type, you don't have any challenges in your breast, you've not had breast cancer treatment in the past, what you need to do is to continue the self-breast exam. Also have your breast assessed by a healthcare worker, and then the mammogram every 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yes, but for someone who have had challenges with the breast, may have noticed now who is being followed up on, you'd have this mammogram with the ultrasound yearly. Okay. The mammogram is meant for those who are 40 years above, and below that, an ultrasound can help with that.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Doc. Ma'am, I think our time is almost up. So the last thing, looking at the stigmatization, I just remembered something, that how our culture affects us. Because in Ghana, this side of the world, you see a lady performing maybe a self-breast exam, and even that is frowned upon. Like people, if your mother should even see you with your hand touching your breast, they'll go like, "What are you doing?" You know, and then all these negative perceptions. How would you advise our public, especially when it comes to our ladies and breast cancer, and looking at these cultural influences, how the impact it has on us negatively? And that would be my I promise.
It's quite all right. I personally think that it is a shame that there is a body shaming thing that we've grown culturally to believe we do have, and it's not very good, because as a human being, forget about a woman or a man, you need to know your body. You need to know every part of your body. That way you can care for it much better. So the self-examination is very important. I think it is why, October is such a big month, and so much propaganda goes into self-examination. But like I said, with the fingers having a memory, and Doc talked about the mirror, that is such a good way. Your mother needs to know, mothers need to teach their children. That way it is not an awkward moment you share, and it shouldn't be anything that you hide. Loving your body is a very important, it is the beginning of self-confidence in yourself, and we cannot be intimidated by any of that.
Of self,
yes. But please go to www.thinkforafrica.org and read up about the organization. If you want to donate, we will take it, and we will certainly put it to good use.
Obviously, I think that this will be something very, very good to support. And I want to remind you, if you think it is a death sentence, a little research tells us that Thelma Sutcliffe in US is 114 years, and she has been diagnosed twice. So she's the longest living survivor. If you're afraid of death after you have been diagnosed, there is more. And if you want to know more, go to Think for Africa. Visit Madam Juliet. She will tell you there are more opportunities there than you think. This is how we wrap up on our breast cancer awareness for this week. And this is how we end our AM Ghana show. Rather on a positive note, go get your free breast screening. It's the month of October. pink it out. You can wear your pink to show support. It shouldn't be silenced. So don't be one to silence anybody, and don't keep silence as well. Our gratitude, our appreciation to our team AM Ghana. We have Selassie, we have Billy, we have Jonathan doing your thing, our cameraman, Papa Fatih Party and Co. So thank you very, very much. We'll meet Monday morning, 6 a.m. See you then. Bye-bye.